Right, hey guys, how are we doing? Back on another video from Mother's Basement. Today we're checking out 10 fave fights of 2020, so we're going to see Jeff's favourite fights from 2020 in anime. And yeah, I think there were some good ones. I feel like SAO wasn't like, Alicization wasn't the best anime that came out, but when we had the second half and Kirito weren't there, there was some really good fights in that. Like, I absolutely love some of those fights in there. Fire Force Season 2 has had some really good fights in there. Give Fire Force a chance, it does get pretty decent. And what was the other one? God of High School, like, had some... Oh, but anyway, let's see what Jeff has to say on the 10 fave fights of 2020. AniMelee, when it plays.
What makes a great fight scene great?
Oh, yeah.
Who has time for taglines? I gotta figure out
JoJo's.
the ones to watch list for winter 2021 in less than a week, but
Oof.
I don't want to close out a miserable, exhausting year with a retrospective on its most miserable, exhausting anime.
That anime
so while
sounded
the iron's
awful.
still lukewarmish for end-of-year listicles, I'm Jeff Thew, this is AniMelee, and today we're running through a ranking of my favorite anime fights of 2020.
Sick.
Spoilers ahead for pretty much any show
Fire
I mention,
Force.
obviously. Can't really talk about good fights
Joe,
without saying
Digimon,
why
I
they
wish I
happen
didn't
or what
stop.
happens
It seemed
in them.
decent.
Like my OP rankings, this list is by no means meant to be comprehensive or definitive.
Personal opinion.
Black Clover, Fire Force, One Piece, Boruto, or a lot of other things that definitely deserve recognition for their fights. I even fell off My Hero Academia because I read ahead and just could not make it through the Yakuza arc twice.
Oh.
It is too long. But I've still watched a lot of fun anime with fun fights this year.
Was that this year?
I just want to
I
share
think it
some
was, wasn't it?
of that
My
fun
Hero
with
Academia
you.
season.
Now, not all great
there was some
anime
good ones in
battles
that.
have to be, battles. Some shows can match the best action anime out there in terms of strategery, emotional stakes, tension,
I haven't watched season 2.
dramatic conflict,
I haven't watched season 2.
without ever actually throwing a punch. Look, my list, my rules. Kaguya-sama Love is War is one such non-battle battle.
You see, I always watch just Crunchyroll stuff,
My favorite
but
non-battle battle of its second season
my girlfriend's
is
getting a
the game
Funimation
where you
account,
can
so
pump it as much
things
as
will
you
be changing.
want, but you have to pump it at least once, and whoever makes it bust loses. Hold up, YouTube! Don't demonetize me, bro. I'm talking about
Please.
a balloon, but it's also a real good dick joke. Did I put this on the list just so I could repeat that joke? Maybe, but also they picked it as the season finale for good reason. It gives every character a chance to put everything they've learned over the course of the series to the test.
Yeah.
Like Kaguya's self-calming ritual and Ishigami's newfound confidence from the sports festival.
Nice.
And that test definitively proves that all of their hard-earned character growth means absolutely nothing in the face of big thing, make loud noise. But these characters are at their best when pushed into rabid
That's
desperation
interesting.
anyway.
That's
And
really
boy, does
interesting.
this
Oh my
whole bid
god.
deliver on that. The Pump Pump game is very technically a fight. Deal with it.
Yeah?
And more importantly, it's really, really funny. All that quality innuendo at the start is just the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, see what he
With
did
all of the
there?
season's emotional character arcs tied off in a satisfying manner before this skit even begins, it's free to just go ham with the comedy, reminding us of exactly
Oh
why
my god,
we
that
love
does seem
these
like a really,
characters
really clever
and
idea.
exactly
Oh my
what
god.
is still horribly, horribly wrong with them. There are certainly more strategic, psychological fights from this season that I could have picked instead, but this is kind of a perfect epilogue, and also a perfect dick joke. Truly masterful.
Which are
Next up,
genius.
Winter's
Ooh,
only
what's
good
this?
cyberpunk thing, Akudama Drive, is also more of a psychological thriller than pure action
Oh, that's the
anime,
one from the
so
guys that did
despite
Danganronpa,
the
isn't it? That
terrifying
does look
lethality of its
really
all
good.
super criminal cast, it's not actually all that heavy on big brawls. The ones it does have are pretty fucking extra in terms of direction and
Sweet.
staging, though none more so than my 9th place pick, the final brawl between Brawler, the Akudama who lives
Brawler?
to fight, and Executioner, the thinly veiled
Whoa,
metaphor
he looks
for a
cool.
Japanese prosecutor who lives to kill Akudama,
Whoa.
which isn't the final brawl of the series, to be clear, but it is theirs. The two have
God, the
pushed
animation
each other
looks
well past their
boss.
respective breaking points over the last few episodes, wounding each other's pride as killers as well as each other's bones and internal organs several times over. This is personal now, even for the
Boss.
normally detached super
Yo,
cop, but
this
at the
looks
very
sick.
end, all that animosity and even sense of duty slips away, and all that's left is the thrill of the fight.
Yo.
Two men in peak physical condition who fucking love violence so much, beating each other to death for no other reason than to prove they can. Danganronpa writing. You gotta love it. Neither of them is coming out of this alive. They both
You can tell with the eyes, the way they've done the eyes, and it's animated exactly the same as Danganronpa.
The goddamn universe knows it too, setting a gloriously gaudy stage and ringing the bell for their last round with a bolt of lightning to a somehow still functioning abandoned Ferris wheel, which, combined with the countless raindrops scattering all around them, creates some of the most breathtakingly beautiful shots I've ever seen.
Visually pleasing. I do like it.
There's not a whole lot of these shots to go around. This fight is short and sweet and simpler in terms of choreography than some of the show's other battles, which it has to be since it happens concurrently with the other characters doing other stuff.
Right, of course.
Like
the story has to be progressing.
It says what it needs to say as quickly, loudly, and awesomely as it can, leaving a hell of an impact on the rest of the series' plot and characters, not to mention any of us nerds who happen to be watching. Speaking of impacts, Berkuli's fight with Emperor Vecta from Sword Art Online Alicization of Underworld left enough of one on me to earn 8th place on this list. Yes,
one
really.
Hell of a fight.
You're not losing your mind, and neither am I hope. I watched the final season last month in preparation for a full review in the near future, and I just have to give credit where it's due.
Yeah, man.
In
the
my
fights
notes, I did
good.
call this fight Cool Old Dude versus Sex Creep Sauron, so you know...
The way he controls the time and that is like so weird.
SAO has some absolutely stunning animation and sound design, but most of its fights are held back by something or other in their story and execution.
Well, Kirito usually is so boring.
That gets basically everything right, though.
Yeah.
For starters, the characters have personal, emotional stakes in it.
So good.
So good. To save Alice, the closest thing he has to a daughter, from a soul-devouring monster, and that monster, Subtleizer, in his Emperor Vecta avatar, well, he thinks her soul looks mighty tasty.
I gotta get a piece of that.
Alice is the old man's last real reason for living, and his pride as a hero and her mentor is on the line here, as is his life. With its
so
world full of fragile, sentient AI, War of Underworld brought back the anyone can die dynamic that's been missing from the series since Yui showed up, and as one of those AI, Berkuli qualifies as anyone.
Just takes his arm, it's
he
like,
is incredibly badass, but at this point we're still waiting on Kirito to be resurrected and fix everything.
We're not really waiting for it though, are we? We just know it's going to happen.
Completely here without driving the plot into a dead end, which gives the fight some real tension. And he very nearly does. Vecta beats him to within an inch of his virtual life using evil soul-sucking magic to negate his time-cutting sword's will-powered powers. And Berkuli gets some good licks in even without them. There's great swordplay from both sides, but he's clearly at a huge disadvantage, and it genuinely feels like he might lose it all. Right up to the big reversal in which he strategically sacrifices himself to defeat the evil Emperor,
he can just like go boom back on you.
His past in half.
That was weird, but it was cool.
Stupid, but also so fucking anime cool.
Yeah, it is anime cool. I like that. It's anime cool.
Seconds, and he's got to wait for just the right moment, so the whole end of the fight's on a timer, and he almost doesn't make it. It was almost worth watching the rest of the season just for that one edge of my seat moment. Also, the aftermath of the fight with Alice mourning Berkuli as he smiles down on her from the digital afterlife is sincerely touching, at least by SAO standards. So, good job, Reki Kawahara.
This game sucks so much ass. Might as well log out and go back to bed.
Speaking of things I didn't expect to say this year, Bleach is back and better than ever, baby. In the form of a stealth sequel called Burn the Witch. The beautifully produced
this was
anime
good.
and the
I
manga
enjoyed
it's based
this.
on are both on the short end. It seems Shonen Jump has learned their lesson about how Tite Kubo functions, or doesn't on a strict publishing
like
schedule,
let him do what he wants to do when he wants to do it, kind of thing.
Story at his own pace through limited runs of chapters that are as long as they need to be, letting him focus on
These
writing
3 episodes
tight,
were
compelling
class,
character arcs
man.
to complement his always impossibly cool character designs, instead of, you know, making shit up as he goes along and constantly repeating the same themes and ideas. We all know Bleach rewrote the Shonen Drip metagame, and there are so many drippy anime boys and girls packed into this feature film that I don't even know where to begin. On top of the 2 main witch cuties in their plaid-skirted uniforms with magic pistols for wands, there's also a council of powerful wizards representing different genres of music, I think, each radder than the last, with the raddest of all being Bruno Bangknife, a swaggering jet-set radio
so
street
Bleach
punk
looking.
who casts
He was
spells
cool.
using magic spray paint. And then there's the wide array of awesome creative dragon designs, which range in shape and size from skinny broomstick things to a dog with bat wings to more conventional flying lizards like the Blue Boy Bruno rides. But the most important dragon for our purposes is Cinderella, an all-powerful dark dragon who serves as the final opponent of everyone else in a balls-to-the-wall battle that is my 7th favorite of the year.
I forgot about
the
this. Yes.
crowned bird with wings of shimmering lace leaves trails of glittering star ash wherever she
and
flies.
If anything,
and that star
if you touch
ash
that,
explodes on impact, so that's a bit of a problem.
It is.
To solve it, the Jet Set Radio Wizard hops on his dragon and tags the sky with a magic graffiti circle to trap Cinderella with her own blasts. And while that doesn't actually accomplish much, it is both one of the coolest things I've ever seen and one of the coolest sentences I've ever had the chance to write. And there's a lot of other truly spectacular animation to enjoy in this film.
Using a spray can to trap a dragon within itself so that it hurts itself with its attack.
Need to give Burn the Witch a watch.
Yeah, definitely. It's only 3 episodes, do it.
Misfit at Demon King Academy had so many memorable
I wish I didn't fall off of this.
that I knew it had to make this list somewhere, but I was struggling to decide which one deserved top
I only watched like the first 3
I mean,
episodes.
How do you choose between heart beating a man to death and then resurrecting him so
and
you
just
can
keep doing it again? Yeah, that was amazing. And again, bam, 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 bam,
spinning
bam, bam.
an entire castle and then throwing it one-handed just to prove a point. You really thought stopping time would be enough to stop me? Or, oh gosh, that's still just the first arc. They're all so wonderful and crazy. So I decided to cheat. In 6th place, we've got Anos Voldigode versus the concepts of restraint and subtlety. A battle he wages vigilantly and enthusiastically from the beginning of this series to the very end. One-upping himself and every other anime hero out there at almost every single turn. Like any good fight,
Such a
there's
flex.
some good back and forth here. At some points, it does seem like Anos is slipping a little. The Big Demon Academy versus Hero Academy exhibition fight, for instance, is only marginally over the top as anime goes. Like, lots of protag-kuns have beat OP rival schools that were also cheating. You gotta add something more to the mix. And it does make sense that the constant escalation would have to give way to more grounded storytelling at some point. I mean, how do you top ripping a hole through multiple pocket dimensions to defeat several archdemons simultaneously
I just
and
don't
win
know.
a rigged fighting tournament?
I just
all
don't
while your
know.
idol fangirl squad sings your personal theme song about how awesome you are.
Yeah.
Well, you start with a nail-biting duel against a friend and rival who's your only equal in overpoweredness, throwing every OP spell and attack at your mutual disposal at each other before letting him kill your soul in a symbolic act to stop a massive race war between humans and demons. Then you have all your subordinates show off their OP magic
That sounds
for a bit,
about right.
with your
Yeah,
hot
this
twin
is
sister
perfect.
waifus fusion dancing into a super mega
Jot this down.
before you use a loophole to resurrect yourself in a manner that the series has gone out of its way to repeatedly establish is canonically impossible. And then, finally, you have your idol fangirl squad sing your other personal theme song about how awesome you are, buffing you and your rival as you team up to stab the physical embodiment of the concept of racism in the fucking face.
Nice. That sounds about right, yeah.
Subtlety is left lying in a broken Yamcha heap, and the anime world is way more
Love
awesome
it.
for it.
Broken
And
Yamcha
I
heap.
guess if you want to be a stickler for
wonderful.
rules, you can say I gave the prize to that last fight instead, because it is pretty ballin'. If you enjoy incredibly one-sided anime action, but in the opposite direction, then you'll also like my pick for 5th place, the ill-fated battle between Rem, Krush, and the Sin Archbishops of Sloth and Greed that kicks off Season 2 of ReZero.
I've
I've
only watched the first episode of Season 2.
Also, I don't want to. ReZero's
I'm going to be
always
binging it
had
now that
strong
like the
fights.
second half is
Time
out.
travel hook lends
Don't
them
you
a lot
worry.
of great strategic depth, and even those that don't really play to that strength still feature fantastic storyboarding,
I'm loving that I've got
animation,
quite a
sound
decent
design,
amount to
acting,
watch
and
now.
writing. The time loop thing also means that these fights tend to stretch out across a lot of episodes, though, since death only means taking a break to regroup for round 2.
It did happen in Season 1, like at the end,
And
yeah.
since all of the other fights this season still haven't actually been resolved, This most tragic one kinda has to win by default, but it's also fundamentally solid. It establishes the insane power of the new witch cultists quite effectively by having them wipe out most of the army that took down the White Whale before they even know they're being attacked, and it only becomes more insane once our heroes actually start fighting back. Regulus, the Bishop of Greed, tanks an attack that wounded the White Whale like it's nothing, while Lai Titan Kaitos evades both Crucia's skilled swordplay and Rem's deadly demonic flailing with manic agility. Both girls sit at the upper echelons of the series waifu and warrior tier lists, so to see them so handily routed is both shocking and emotionally devastating. Clearly, these cult fuckers are a force to be reckoned with, now we are personally motivated to see them go down. Villain introductions don't get much better than this. And that's not even getting into the fight's implications for the immediate future of the series. Taking the most popular, marketable character and Subaru's most stalwart ally out of the picture is a bold move that significantly raises the emotional stakes of the season and instantly brings the upbeat tone the last season ended on crashing back down into the grit and depression. The horror and loneliness that makes this second act so goddamn good all hinges on this moment. And the moment itself is beautifully executed on every level. The perfect, hyped-up reintroduction to the series' world and magical action. Decadence, one of the best original anime this year, played host to a fair share of its own hype fights. None hyper, in my estimation, than Natsume Kaburagi and their comrades' battle with the Alpha Gadol.
I can't wait for my girlfriend to get that Funimation account set up.
It marks the moment that Natsume fully comes into her own as a warrior and hero, the culmination of all her training, and the turning point where her master realizes he cares too much for the one-armed bug and best boy Pipe to let them die, even if that means he needs to rebel against the system that deemed them defective. There's a lot of powerful emotional stuff going on here, paired with some absolutely insane fight choreography and animation that pushes the series' distinctive jetpack and giant syringe gun action to its peak. And when their unexpected victory against the scripted lost story boss bugs the game out and unleashes an unfinished super boss on Decadence, we also get to witness the series' most satisfying city-sized robot fist rocket punch. Though in that punch's wake, humanity sees only despair. Countless giant Gadol are revealed roaming the open plains beyond Mount Everest, each capable of wiping our species out by itself. This moment is terrifying and exhilarating, promising yet greater battles on the horizon. But, in case the fact I chose this fight for the list didn't clue you in, it doesn't really make good on that promise ever. There are some absolutely banging episodes and action set pieces to come, like a crazy robot prison riot and a cool heist sequence clearly inspired by Monsters, Inc.'s Door Factory.
That does look like it, yeah. That's
world-class fights left in the series. Kaburagi's much-hyped duel with Hugin falls pretty flat, and the last battle is just a big JRPG monster that they beat, and then everything's fine. Even though nothing is actually done to fix or dismantle the evil, broken capitalist system that was the main villain. Still, that doesn't diminish the incredible hype of this fight one bit. And the core aerial action of Decadence is so good at evoking that unique, kinetic, frenetic
that does look sick, man. The way that, like, that is
AOT, man. More than enough for it to claim this spot. Of course, I couldn't make a list of cool anime fights without including at least one Shonen Jump thing. It is kinda Shonen Jump's thing.
Jujutsu Kaisen.
Jujutsu Kaisen, with its rad, inventive power system and instantly ridiculous power scaling,
there have been some good fights in
that thing very well, a lot of times, even in the span of just 13 episodes. The most obvious fight to pick is also the most recent. Yuji and Nanamine versus Mahito is gorgeously choreographed and animated, immensely cathartic, emotionally devastating, and a major turning point for the series and its protagonist. But I personally had more fun watching Nanami and Mahito duke it out down
that was Class Underground. Yeah, that was brilliant.
Place to that instead. And I'm not just saying that because of the one insane Sakuga shot where Nanami winds up and punches through the wall.
Yeah.
Although, holy shit, that was cool.
Yes.
There are a lot of cool shots here, but it's also smartly written and accomplishes quite a lot for the show's narrative in quite a short
when you're finally using
time.
people in that.
This is a flex fight, a battle that exists primarily to
fight, I like
establish
it.
the capabilities of a given combatant, so they don't need explaining in the middle of the big emotional main event they're about to be involved
Makes
in.
sense.
Often these sorts of fights involve a slightly weaker character getting their shit kicked in by a villain, jobbing, as the wrestlers say, to give us a baseline of that foe's destructive
So we
potential.
know what
But
they're
down in these
like
sewers,
capable of,
we've
yeah.
got two characters flexing simultaneously. While Mahito, the cursed spirit of human hatred, demonstrates its deadly Cronenberg touch, Nanami gives us a taste of what Grade 1 sorcerers who aren't Satoru can really do. Which is a whole lot, it turns out.
That ability is
Nanami
sick.
is the type to be cool and collected no matter how dire things go, but he walks into this fight confidently with good reason. Despite Mahito constantly throwing new surprises at him, from tiny Cronenbergs that get not so tiny to its own transforming legs, the stockbroker turned actually useful member of society adapts quickly, outwits his foe at every turn, and delivers a decisive finishing blow to clock out just a minute late.
Yeah,
Also,
it's like, it's gone
say
6.
that a
I'm working
cleaver-wielding
overtime.
salaryman who rips his tie off and powers up at 6 on the dot is absolutely peak shonen design.
It's so
At the
dumb,
same
but it's
time,
brilliant.
Though, we learn that this horrifying monster is still just a child getting a feel for its powers.
He's learning.
And that even with all his skill, Nanami can't actually kill it. And that resilience all but ensures that the child will grow and adapt to become a much greater threat down the line, or in like the next episode, which is very worrying because pretty much every move it pulls in this fight is already scarier than anything we've seen from any cursed spirit this side of Sukuna. Mahito is vitally important to the overall story of Jujutsu Kaisen and to Yuji and Nanami especially, and this fighting debut instantly cements it as a force to be reckoned with. Villain intros do not get more memorable than this.
Oh, yeah.
Next up, in second place, is the final battle between the Turtles and Shredder from Rise of the TMNT. And before you run down to the comments to tell me that's not anime, I agree with you, actually. Rise is very clearly a cartoon, not an anime, and I would never
I've
try
seen
to
some
debate
clips of this,
otherwise,
though,
but that
and
doesn't change
it
the
looks
fact
sick.
that this specific fight is as anime as
The
it
animation
gets,
on
and it
this
doesn't
series
change the
is
fact that
just
my list
incredible.
of my rules. We got crazy camera angles and magic choreography. We got Sakuga cuts for days.
Oh,
We got
that was
animator-friendly
boss.
mid-air
Oh my God.
collisions too fast for the naked eye to follow. We got a climactic clash between two contrasting colors of ancient mystic martial arts energy that's resolved with the power of friendship and family.
Hell yes.
It does not get more anime. There's a lot of lore and
It does seem
backstory
very
behind
anime.
this fight, obviously. It is, after all, the culmination
Whoa.
of 2 seasons worth of character
Shredder
and
looks
world
boss.
building and Rise's distinct take on the Turtles setting. But at the same time, if you're familiar with any version of the TMNT canon, it's easy enough to grasp everything that's going on, instantly understand the differences between these Turtles and their past iterations, and appreciate how this battle gives every important character, from Splinter, Raph, Donnie, Leo, and Mikey with their mystic upgrades,
it's so
to
different.
April in a rare fighting mode, and even a surprise Casey Jones, their own moment to shine.
Huh.
I would know because watching it with zero context is what got me into Rise of the TMNT to begin with. The first time I checked the show out, I bounced off the pilot episode, thinking it was too goofy and episodic. But this fight helped me see what I was missing, and how that goofiness could complement and even enhance the action and drama I initially
It looks
worried it
sick.
would undermine. And with the newfound appreciation,
I've seen
for
people
the
share,
things this
like,
take
scenes
on
on
the Turtles
Twitter where
does
they're like,
uniquely
whoa.
well in terms of comedy and visual storytelling, it's quickly become my favorite iteration of the franchise, period. Even above the movies with the Jim Henson suits, and
They
I
were
haven't made it
cool.
clear on this channel how much I fucking love Muppets, but trust me when I say that's as big a compliment as I can give.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I
if you're
love
looking
being
at
a
the screen, I
turtle.
don't think I have to explain why this fight's next level. I love that it doesn't have to explain how Leo's
Oh my
teleporting
God.
swords, or Raph's mystic decoy Sai, or Mikey and Donnie's extending nunchucks.
Jesus
and
Christ, this is
staff
so
work,
sick.
because we can just see how they work in the animation.
Yeah.
I love how it manages to get emotional without those moments clashing with its zany, high-octane tone. And I love how concisely it wraps this story arc up while still leaving some juicy threads dangling for a third season that we probably won't get because as Avatar fans and Steven Hillenburg's spinning corpse know, Nickelodeon sucks.
Yeah.
Now's the time for positivity though, and this is near perfect as both an ensemble fight and a culmination of the series so far. But one actual anime this year did manage to surpass it, even on those terms. And that anime is Ragman.
Huh.
First place going to its final 2-episode-long battle between the Transamerica Wild Racers and the dastardly Bandito gang
Gil
led
the Snake
by
versus
Gil the Snake.
everyone.
I can understand why some folks were a little disappointed with this ending. It does more or less sideline the steampunk racing drama and action folks signed up for in favor of a protracted Wild West shootout, but I completely adored it personally, and I have some counterpoints to share. Firstly, on a thematic level, I think the derailing of the race by old-school Western violence reflects the conflict between Gil's old-school might-makes-right philosophy and the ever-progressive
He's got a cool
world
character
around
design,
him
man. I like
fits
that.
right into what the series is trying to say. Secondly, they do still cap the whole series off with some of the coolest racing animation I have ever
Whoa,
seen,
okay.
and there's not much point in following every stage of the race after this moment, because with this fight completing his character development, Apare's win is an obvious foregone conclusion. He still earns the victory, just not in the pure racing-focused way some expected and might have liked. But I think this fight is better than any race could have been, because thirdly, on a related note, it ties off every single character arc in the series in a satisfying fashion, while giving every single member of its sizable cast a chance to show off their unique skills and distinctive strengths as characters, and it looks fucking awesome doing it. Now, it is worth noting that the larger battle with the gang is technically split into several different concurrent
right,
fights,
okay.
kind of like the Sasuke retrieval arc
Oh,
or
mate.
the Yakuza arc of My Hero Academia
Oh, yo.
that I just mentioned, even if they are condensed into a single episode. TJ and Dylan cut a swath of carnage through a town full of goons, while the other characters face off against Gil's lieutenants one-on-one, each of whom complements and challenges their unique skill sets. Jing Xiaolan's bridge-top martial arts battle with the Crazy Knife Lady is particularly fun and well choreographed.
That's class.
But even if you take issue with counting all of these as parts of one greater fight, the climax of this battle alone still outshines basically everything else this year. Gil is such an unimpeachable badass of a gunslinging villain that it literally takes the whole damn cast
To take him
just
down.
to match
Sick.
him. And despite their differences in outlook and ability, in this glorious crescendo, they do all manage to fight as one, using clever hit-and-run tactics to wallop him with everything they've got while disarming his own deadliest attacks. It's just so
Jeez.
fucking cool.
I like his
that
eye.
After establishing he can cut one bullet in half with his katana, Kosame steps up to tank an entire chamber full of them on his own,
Whoa.
protecting his whole crew as they stand behind him single file. That is peak anime.
That
right
is so
there,
sick.
and everything I hoped I'd see in a samurai western. Of course, this is also a steampunk inventor saga, so I was also quite happy when the even more badass TJ and Dylan tagged out our titular hero so he could go stop a runaway train with his engineering ingenuity in one last dramatic chase scene that the whole gang gets involved in, while those two finally
Oh
teamed
my
up
God.
to finish their fellow legendary outlaw off. This is an absolutely glorious, off-kilter crescendo
Yo,
to one of
this looks
2020's
sick as
most
hell.
thrillingly original anime, and maybe the most fun I had watching any finale this year. If you haven't seen Ragman already, I cannot recommend it highly enough.
Yeah.
There you have it. Those are my favorite fights of 2020.
Sick.
But I'd love to hear
Whoa.
your picks in the comments down below. And while I've got you here, I'd also love it if you'd check out my recent analysis of the best episode of ReZero so far, or my breakdown.
See, I'm
of
going
the
to
best
catch up on
fights in
ReZero,
Avatar if
and then I'm
you're
going to do
still
some
feeling.
ReZero video
I'm Jeff
reactions.
Thu, professional shitbag,
Signing out from my mother's basement. Wow, there were some good fights on there, man. There were some good fights. Like, Burn the Witch, that was such a good shout out. I completely forgot about that, and that was sick. And if you've not watched it, you should. There's only 3 episodes, so, like, check it out. If you like Bleach, you'll like it as well. The SAO shout out, boom. Yep, there was some decent fights in that, and that was some good stuff. So, yeah, see what 2021's got to give us, because there's so much good anime coming out this year. And, he'll be recommending what to watch this season soon. But until then, thank you guys very much for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave comments down below. Let me know what I should watch and discuss in future videos. And I'll see you guys next time.